Khan Shalom Akim. As always, facing to the east. Khan Halal Imla, Yahweh Bashim Yahshab Bashir Qadash. And God wanted us to read what's on the apostles. And obviously for those new jakes as well, listening to the videos, the brothers out there, you brothers watching the videos, you know, I was passing by. Even though there's not much Jake here, but you know, Jake still passes by every now and then. My name is Khan Halal Imla, means all praises to you. And then Yahweh being the ancient Hebrew name of the Most High. And of course, Yahweh being the ancient Hebrew name of the Messiah as well. That's why I say Khan Halal Imla, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Bahashir Qadash. And double honors unto great and so the apostles. Because they're the elders who taught us in this truth as well. Yeah. Topic says this kingdom, or rather this place is dry, dead and expired. Something along those lines of being dry and expired. That's this kingdom right here. Knowing that Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he's the one who rules over all right now. And of course, his kingdom is being dead, it's being expired, and we know through the signs to come right now. One of the signs is through this pandemic, in which the businesses right now, if you go ask like one of them local small family business owners, how many customers they get on average, they'll tell you that's decreasing like day by day, or week by week, something along those lines. What it really means is that Esau's kingdom is pretty much struggling to keep up, to stand up. Just like Babylon's is being weakened right now. And as you know, the way Yahweh Bashim Yahshai finished them off, or prevented Babylon from achieving their goal, was pretty much by dividing them through their language. But in today's age, going to divide Esau Edom in multiple ways, for which he's going to be confused in the end. That's the time to come. So anyways, let's get to Genesis chapter 1. Well, actually chapter 11. Space is done, it's dead, it's expired. I know that the fact that even Esau himself is expired, his time to rule has expired. So eventually, he's going to need a reset to happen. And when that reset happens, that's when Yahushua is going to come in to take over. A new set of rulership is going to come in. So-called white man, known as the Edomite, is not going to be in rulership forever. So anyways, as we know, as people are just walking right now, we know they're already in a dead state, because they don't want to listen to the word which is life onto them. Brother, you know you're an Israelite. Chosen people of the Most High. Yahweh is his name. Yahushai is his only begotten son. Yeah, every video, man. Every video. But yeah, Genesis 11. Genesis 11, man. About the fall of Babylon. The fall of Babylon. Read from verse 1. This is Genesis chapter 11 verse 1. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. Verse 2. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt therein. And obviously if you read in Genesis chapter 10, we know that that land of Shinar was divided into 5 parts. And those 5 parts was where Nimrod became a mighty person as well. Although all we really know about him, well, the main thing that we know about him is that he was the biggest hunter. One of the most skilled hunters, really. But we're not going to go into Nimrod here. He's trying to get into Babylon and its fall. So he's continuing on. In verse 3, it says, Then they said to one another, Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They had the brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And of course in the King James Version it says slime, but this is the New King James Version, as I mentioned several times in the other camps, brothers being conditions in it. But my other King James Version got taken away, and she told me, my mum, told me to just use this, so I just gotta keep preaching the word, at least, Thawda Yahushua, Thawda Yahweh, that she's still with me, just, you know, going out there in the highways and byways and preaching. So Salak Yakim, if it's not like the King James Version, it's not by my own will really, but Yara I'm still here preaching, that's the main point. But going back to Genesis 11, it says in verse 3, Then they said to one another, come let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. Verse 4. And they said, come let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth. So ultimately the aim right there, for all the nations when they were speaking one tongue, but we know from there, from Genesis chapter 11 verse 1, that they were all speaking one language. And eventually Yahweh Shem Yahshai came with the angels, if you read on further, which I will, in order to bring different languages, different tongues, in order to separate the people and then put them in different areas of the earth. That's essentially what happened. And this is pretty much going to happen again, but not really literally, but rather in a different way. Esau's kingdom is going to be utterly destroyed. It won't be divided. Babylon's not going to be divided. It's going to be utterly destroyed. As we can go into Joel 2, pertaining to the missiles that are coming, related to World War III. And if I read Joel 2 right now, although not everyone will have that understanding to understand, but rather that goes into the missiles and then the fury that Yahweh Shem Yahshai describes them as, that the scriptures describe them as. But yeah, before I get onto that, this is Genesis chapter 11. Continuing on in how Yahweh essentially responded to how people were trying to essentially, that's how Yahweh Shem Yahshai, that's how Yahweh basically made a response, to basically people in Babylon trying to build a tower to the heavens. They were trying to reach the Most High. Imagine thinking in that prideful state as well. Obviously Yahweh Shem Yahshai would do something right now in this day and age. But the wickedness is already at its top right now, it's peak. But anyways, let me actually read Yahweh's response. So yeah, it says here, in Genesis 11 verse 5, it says, but the Lord Yahweh came down to the city to see the city and a tower which the sons of men had built. Verse 6, and Yahweh said, indeed the people are one and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they purpose to do will be withheld from them. So of course Yahweh knew and he identified the fact that since they all communicate in one language, in one tongue, they're able to communicate with themselves, make plans amongst themselves, in order to actually achieve goals. And how do you want that to happen? Do you brothers know you're Israelites, the chosen people of the Most High? You never come back and repent to Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, man. They each say Hebrew name, but Yahweh and Yahweh Shai. No, sometimes Jake, try to tell him, try to mock you. Just don't take you seriously. That's oftentimes. But you know, just keep persevering, man. Keep persevering. Well, yeah, that's verse 5 right there in terms of Yahweh's response. He knew, he basically established the fact that they were all speaking in one language, in one tongue. So imagine everyone right here on this earth was speaking the most dominant language. Let's say English, which is what most of the earth understands. Let's say English was that one language on which they spoke. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying, for example, let's say it was the chosen language, on which all of them spoke before Yahweh Shem Yahshai, as well as the Elohim then divided the nations. Divided them into different tongues. So I'll read on as well. So it says here in verse 6. So imagine that's basically how it is. So imagine if all nations spoke the same language, obviously they'll be able to come together and make plans to achieve. But anyways, reading on, it says here in verse 6, and Yahweh said, let me read. Anyways, so this is verse 6, Genesis chapter 11 verse 6. It says here, and the Lord said, indeed the people are one and they have one language, and this is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they purpose to do will be withheld from them. Verse 7. This is Genesis 11 verse 7. Come let us go down and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. And obviously when Yahweh was basically talking to the Elohim as well, they all went down, each one to the group of people they were assigned to Yahweh Tazar, we believe through faith in the Spirit, and through the scripture right there, when Yahweh says, come, let us go down. So essentially they were coming back from the heavens to earth in order to split people into different languages. That's what Yahweh and the Elohim were doing back in those days. But essentially, it was an evil thing that they were doing. Trying to go to the heavens, make a name for themselves. That's a prideful state of thinking. And that's what Jake is doing right now. Especially the sellouts right now, on those levels of riches right now in this society. That billionaire level and above. But anyways, that's pretty much it right there. Yahweh said, come let us, which proves that Yahweh, amongst the Yahweh and the Elohim, the powers, the angels, that's what Elohim means. Elohim is plural for powers, essentially angels. They came down, then they split the groups of people into different languages. And when they realized they couldn't really understand each other, that's when they started to go into their different lands. So anyways, that's Babylon right there. So, in verse 8 it says, so the Lord Yahweh scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth. So as I said just now, because of the fact that they didn't understand each other, that's why they left onto their own lands. So yeah, it says in verse 9, Genesis chapter 11 verse 9, therefore its name is called Babel, because the Lord Yahweh confused the language of all the earth. And from there, the Lord Yahweh scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. So of course, that's pretty much why I explained about Babylon being divided through the language. That was just one tactic that Yahweh that Yahweh used, as well as the Elohim used. That Yahweh and the Elohim used in order to divide the nations, to stop the plan of Babylon from prospering. And of course, what happens next pertaining to this lesson about this place being in a dead state, expired state. This whole kingdom is expired. The rulership is expired as well. We know that Yahweh is going to have all sorts of tactics here to finally utterly destroy Babylon, which is ultimately America and all these mini Babylons as well, such as UK and all these other states. When I say states, I'm talking about countries. So anyways, as I said, Joel 2 is pretty much one of the tactics pertaining to the missiles for World War III. And also another tactic as well is this mark of the beast, essentially, to see who's the faithful from those who are faithless, or to those who are faint-hearted, as Sirach chapter 2 explains. So like there's a verse in Sirach chapter 2, isn't it? I think it's 2 verse 11. Sirach 2 verse 11, or but it says Sirach chapter 2 about woe unto those who are faint-hearted, for you not be defended. Although this place be in a dead state, in an expired state, we should still be lively spirits as well. As we could go into Titus chapter 2, talking about the way we need to be self-controlled in this kingdom. Self-discipline. I'll get the scripture right now, Titus 2. Titus 2 verse 11, I think.
Oh, sorry, you know what? I was calling you that one. Happy New Year and all that. How are you?
Knock you out, Goony. Just looking for that scripture right now. Titus 2.
Juliet Curry, are you interested in us doing it?
This place is dead, honestly. You just look at the people, this place is dead, it's finished. It needs a reset, that's what it needs up here. A new set of rulers. And Yaratazar will be one of those rulers in the kingdom. Which is why we need to be self-disciplined and keep going, keep persevering. This place is dead, man. This maps, this juice as well makes it even more dead. The people themselves. Honestly. But yeah, let me try and get it. Calm. So I think I'll read verse 11 and verse 12. This is Titus chapter 2, verse 11. It says, say, for the grace of our power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, that brings salvation, has appeared to all men. Verse 12, teaching us that, denying ungodliness and worldly lusts, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in the present age. So of course that's pretty much talking about having that self-control, that self-discipline amongst the people who are dead, born in vain. And as we know, 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 56, I think that goes into the fact that those who are born in vain, that's pretty much talking about the heathens. They're already in a dead state anyway. That's why I shouldn't care about what they do. I don't let them affect your thinking as well. They're false doctrines and confusion. Again, pertaining to Babel as well, this place is still going to fall. And Esau's going to be confused as well. Once he realizes that Yahushua comes out of the skies in the midst of World War III, that's when he's really going to be in that peak state of confusion. Which is eventually going to come. Edomites are then going to be put in slavery and going to start serving Jake. That's what's going to be happening. That's what's going to be happening. But anyways, I'll read it one more time for Yakim to get that we've got to be self-disciplined in this truth. No matter how much of a death state we are in. Not we are in, Salakia, that this place is in. I was going through the spirit as well, man. Jake just looked at me, started smiling. Because even Israel right now, the 2/3, if you think of it, them ones who are already juiced up, they're already in a dead state. They're not trying to be linked to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. They're not trying to strive for Yahweh Yahushua. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But anyways, let's read it again. Titus chapter 2, verse 11. For the grace of Yahweh that brings salvation has appeared to all men. So of course the grace of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua has appeared unto Israel specifically to the men of Israel, starting from the apostles on down to the elders, and from the elders to the brothers right now like myself, who learned the truth from those apostles as well. And we read verse 12, it says here, in Titus chapter 2 verse 12, teaching us that denying ungodliness pertaining to the heathens, and also 2/3 Jakes, going on to all these idols, it says here in verse 12, I'll read it one more time, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lusts, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in the present age. And of course, with all this temptation lying everywhere, it's going to be hard to actually live righteously. Because everyone, as I said, they're in that dead state. They don't want to worship Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Demons controlling vessels, demons coming out of vessels, trying to influence other vessels. You know, there's demons everywhere, trying to tempt everyone. Even the very people who are trying to be part of the hopeful elect. As ourselves teaching and also rebuking brothers as well. The answer is, we just got to keep persevering. Oh, God. Anyways, okay, if it ends, shalom to you lot. Call halal Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, man. Space is dead. And you know that's worthless, isn't it? But of course, we're going to use it to only get the needs that we need. And obviously, we're not going to abuse the world as Esau thinks of. But anyways, let me get that Joel 2 scripture before it cuts off Yahweh Tazar. Because that's going to be one of the tactics. Because Babylon is going to be utterly destroyed. It won't be divided. It's going to be utterly destroyed. That was only one tactic back in the day. Right now, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is going to set it straight. That's what's going to happen. But anyways, let's get to try to find Joel 2. This place is honestly expired. The people, the buildings, state of life is expired. Anyways, let me wait. Try to